Good morning, friends, and welcome everybody, and thanks everybody for being on time so that we can be here and felicitate our Vice President from our region, CA Jambusaria, and also get some words of wisdom from him. Before we start, may I request everybody to please rise for the Institute motto and the National Anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उज्जल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you, members. Please be seated. Before we request Vice President Sir Nihar Jambusaria ji to share his wisdom and his thoughts with us, may I request our senior member and past convener Shri Mahesh Bagaria ji to please present a bouquet of towels to Nihar Sai, please. Now may I request Nihar Bhai to please address us. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, friends. CA Chintan, CA Simaji, today's faculty CAK, Advocate K. Gopal, CAMP Reddy, the past conveners, all the members, and my esteemed colleague in the council, CA Durgesh Kabra, who is at present heading two committees as vice chairman. One is a recently formed new board, that is Sustainability Accounting Standards Board, and another very important committee of which is vice chairman, and he will have to perform a very important task, and that is Company Law Committee. You know, the ministry has circulated the consultative paper for public comment, on which even council is working, and is going to give its view before 15th March. In fact, we were supposed to give our views before 28th February. Now the date is extended, so much burden lies on his shoulders along with the chairman. And he is also member of some of the standing committees like Executive Committee, Management Committee, etc. Friends, with JB Nagar Study Circle, my association is too old and was little different in the past, because I have come here as faculty on several subjects to share views on either tax audit or capital gains or various other subjects in the past. And then when I got elected as the chairman of Western region, I remember in those days also there was a tradition of calling the chairman and sharing views. And today again, this is another opportunity to share some views on what is happening in the profession. So today I will not take too much of time of the faculty who is going to discuss on Vivad se Vishwas, a new scheme which the government has launched or is going to launch shortly, and on which members need much required guidance. And CA K advocate who is K Gopal, who is advocate and who will guide you thoroughly on the subject. Well, friends, coming to some of the points on which I would like to discuss with you, because I believe, and I remember those days in 2004 I said this, that JB Nagar is one of the best study circles. There are only 1 or 2 or 3 study circles who contribute immensely to the cause of the profession and stand shoulder to shoulder with the region and with the Central Council. So it's always pleasure to come here and address the elite class and discuss some of the issues which touch our profession. I think of late there is always a feeling that probably we are at crossroads, or there are too many challenges, or government is pouncing on our autonomy, and therefore now what is left? I have always seen such challenges absolutely positively, and I believe that if there are no challenges, then there is no need for such meetings also. Only if there are challenges, we have opportunities. Once the challenges die, the opportunities will also die in the profession and we will become stagnant. So there is nothing to worry about. The International Federation of Accountants also discusses similar matters with us, and I don't think pouncing on autonomy of any institute, whether it is called Chartered Accountants Institute or CPA Institute, all over the world, is not new. Everywhere they have formed oversight board, and the government tries to overrule or overgovern the professions. And we have to see that our autonomy is retained to the extent possible. And the institute is trying its best to do it. And you know, when all over the world you have seen that coronavirus caused downfall in share market, not only in India, all over the world. So this is also a virus. Govern the professions, obtain control, and that is the attitude of all governments, not only in India, all over the world. And we will have to collectively see that even if they take over some of the controls, we are able to function in a way that the profession flourishes, and we will try to ensure that to the best of our capabilities. Particularly, most recently, the challenge which has come up is the consultative paper of the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and some of the points on which even as members you must contribute and write to WIRC or to the Central Council. Let me mention some of those points. The ministry has proposed in the consultative paper that if you are an audit firm or if your firm is doing audit function, then to the audit client you should not render any non-audit service. And this is a point of debate. Nowhere in the world such provision is there. And if you look at section 144 of the Companies Act, there only management services are not allowed to be performed by auditor for the auditee. And there the institute has already taken its view, submitted its submissions, that some of those services which can be covered in management services and which should be prohibited to see that there is no self-interest threat. The institute, probably, we have got meeting on 12th March in which we will decide what to represent finally. But by and large, the view that emerges from the members and from industries is that it is not that all services should be prohibited to those audit firms who perform audit services for the clients. And you are also free to give your views. It will help the council in finally deciding what to represent. Some of the other proposals are restrict the number of partners in the firm. Now, whether restricting the number to firms is beneficial, or is it that we build capacity? I welcome the past chairman Sunil Patodia ji. Or is it in the interest of the profession that we encourage proprietary concerns and smaller firms to come up and build more number of partners? So again, this is one area. The third area on which they are asking for comments is whether public interest entities, mostly listed companies, they have not so far defined which are public interest entities. Their audit should be allotted through a panel to be maintained by C&AG. Now again, this is a vexed question, whether such empanelment and equitable distribution of audits is in the interest of the profession, or we want to encourage specialization. There are several issues attached with this, and you as members may consider whether it is desirable to have empanelment for everything, or is it desirable to give liberty and retain the fundamental right of the stakeholders of companies to choose their auditor themselves. So these are some of the challenges which they have put before us, and we are supposed to comment. And let me tell you, some of the proposals in the consultative paper are exactly against the provisions in the Companies Act. So it is possible that if they want to implement those proposals, they may also amend the Companies Act. And if the Companies Act is amended, it will become very rigid and it will be very difficult to then get it amended again. So it is at this stage that each one of you should go through the entire consultative paper and give your views to the institute. It will be very useful. It is on the website of MCA. Every member is at liberty to go through and give comments. These are some of the current challenges which are there. Apart from this, some of the past challenges are already there. And let me tell you, the institute is on its toes to build capacities of smaller firms, because the profession will prosper and flourish only if smaller firms upgrade themselves, come up, and they are capable of competing with some of the bigger firms. And for that, whatever is required to be done, the institute is doing. Last year, the president and vice president decided, along with the council, that let us transform and have most of our learning sessions recorded on the e-learning hub, and some of the excellent sessions are now available. The reason is that excellent faculties like what you have today cannot travel all over India and in every nook and corner of the country and deliver their sessions. So if they are recorded on e-learning hub and they are available on click of a button, then in every part of the country, small villages, wherever our members are there, they can take benefit of these experts' knowledge and their dispensation. So various efforts are being made. You may also contribute. And time has come, I would rather invite every member to participate in the activities of the institute. I would mention that, see, we are responsible as elected members to do everything for the profession. But it's a collective effort. Single person or just 32 members in the country cannot perform this duty so exclusively and diligently. If you as members also participate positively, it will really contribute to our efforts. And sometimes, vision of only 32 members is not enough to give direction to the profession. Vision of all those who are actually in the profession should contribute, and it should contribute for the entire profession. Council is always open to take views from members. These are some of the messages which I thought I will communicate to you. And let me mention, like in the past, I am always available. Whenever you want, you can contact any council member, including myself and president, and we will do our best to whatever is required for the profession. Again, let me repeat, I must thank the JB Nagar Study Circle to give me the opportunity of coming here and share some of my views. If you have anything in mind and want to discuss, and if time permits, we may have, say, 5 minutes time to discuss. Yeah, please.
Related to peer review process, members are facing a lot of difficulties. What is happening that peer review process which has to be completed in 3-year cycle. So normally before completion of 3 years process is started, but the completion and getting the certificate is getting delayed beyond a point of time, and the listed companies without peer review certificate in hand, it is getting difficulty for getting the clients convinced that our firm is already being peer reviewed. So that requires little administrative push to complete the things early.
Yeah, I will just inform you what has been done very recently. Now, a software has been developed, and when you apply, the software itself will select some 3 persons from the panel and communicate to you in a day's time or 2 days' time. Now, there is another aspect of it, that panel of 3 members which is given to you as peer reviewers, and you are supposed to select anyone. Many times members complain that those peer reviewers are not interested in carrying out peer review. So we are trying to ensure that all those who are registered as peer reviewers, they are really interested persons, and like the way Durgesh Bhai was Vice Chairman of Board of Studies, and he will confirm that the way we are facing difficulty in examination, we don't get examiners, enough number of examiners. The number of students has gone up. The same way, the number of firms requiring peer review has gone up. Peer reviewers are many, but they are not interested in taking up this work. Now, although they are remunerated, it is possible that the remuneration may not be as high as what they charge to clients. But at the same time, this is an activity which helps each other. So if they come forward and take up peer review, spend some time, it will be better. Otherwise, peer review board is trying its best to find out who are interested peer reviewers who would finish peer review on time. And once this software is effective and a clean report is submitted by peer reviewer, probably now the certificate should be issued very fast. The software is developed, it is there. Probably the announcement is also made that now instead of applying by or through email, Now you straight away go to the website and click there so that software can give you the panel of 3 members, 3 peer reviewers. So let us see in this year this problem should get solved to a large extent. And particularly here I would request, if there are administrative problems, anytime you can personally approach us, we can solve. But if there is any principal issue which you think we should take up with the government or we should do as institute, you may raise it here, because peer review, for example, is administrative, which can be done on one-to-one interaction also. Yeah, Bhavesh bhai.
Sir, we are facing one problem from this government. They first always decide the due date of returns, and then first they decide the due date of various returns, and then they start working on the software. Because of this, we have to, they go on extending the dates, and now then we have to work whenever their software is working. This is really unfair, and I think it should be void ab initio. And if institutes, because it is formed under Parliament Act, they are not able to file the writ petition, but then we should suggest the Chamber of Tax Consultant or BCS. Because we should not tell our article and girls to sit at the last moment at 10 o'clock. And this is really a big problem. It affects the health of not only articles but chartered accountants.
Yeah. Now you have raised a very valid point. This is very well within the knowledge of the institute, and time and again we are taking up. But you know the attitude of finance minister. We'll do something to take it up with the ministry. Vivad se Vishwas, the faculty will discuss in detail. Today my role is very different, so I would not like to comment on anything on this topic. When there is an expert, let experts speak. I am not expert on this subject today. Then friends, let me thank each one of you for being here on time. I think the convener forced the members to come early on a Sunday morning. And you all are here. It's an honor to come here and address and share views. And although we may not be able to have more time here, personally also, whenever you want to approach, you can approach either through email or even you may call up. So many calls come, many times we are not able to respond immediately, but we will respond in due course. Thank you very much. And do support us in challenging times. Opportunities are there among challenges only. Thank you.
Nayarbai deserves a big thank you and definitely a standing ovation from all the members. Thank you, Nayarbai, for sparing your valuable time and despite your busy schedule, consenting to be here on a Sunday morning, even before us. So that's a big thank you from all of us, and thank you all the members for being here to receive sir and also listen to his words of wisdom. I, on behalf of JP Nagar Study Circle, propose a very hearty vote of thanks to Nayarbai for being here and addressing us. With these words, and also, sir, as you told us, as there are challenges, we are here. So we all collectively should accept those challenges and stand up with him and the institute so that we rise in our profession together. Sir, regarding your 2 comments of sharing of the knowledge, we at JB Nagar, since around 7 months, have started a YouTube channel whereby all our lectures are recorded and forwarded to members for further study, because sir, looking at our membership strength, this hall is too small and thus all members are not able to come also due to their various personal reasons. So the lectures are recorded on YouTube and shared with them so they can benefit out of them even in future. E-learning. So e-learning is there on a smaller scale at this platform also.
You are a step forward.
Thank you, sir. So this can also be posted on the institute website with your consent. You can do something on that. So, the faculty which are coming here, all India people can benefit out of it.
Yeah, we may be selective.
Yeah, definitely. So,
and we will give it to CP directorate
yes,
and e-learning team. So they will select
whatever deem fits, you can, or more members can benefit out of it. So, thank you very much, sir. And once again, thanks for coming, sir. We recognize the presence of Central Council member C. Durgesh Kabra ji and our past chairman C. Sunil Patodia ji. May I request Kamal Dhanuka ji to please present a moment our towel bouquet to Durgesh ji. Enke Jain sir, please give a bouquet to Patodia ji. One small announcement, member. As the schedule is tight today, we have kept the break after the session. Both the sessions will be completed and then we'll have break for snacks. And so there will be a type of a brunch rather than snacks. So everybody can hold their hunger till then and enjoy the brunch at the end of the session. So now may I request Reddy ji to please introduce the speaker for the day for the technical session, Mr. Gopal. Oh, sorry, Mr. Hemant bhai. Sorry for the blunder.
Thanks, sir. Thank you.
Nearby has some other schedules. We'll leave for the.
Good morning, friends. It's my pleasure and honor to introduce today's learned faculty, Sri Advocate K. Gopal ji. And I request all the members to please welcome him and with loud applause. Mr. K. Gopal, his professional experience is enrolled with Bar Council of Maharashtra. He is enrolled with Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa in 94. He has joined Chamber of Dr. K. Sriram, Senior Advocate, get exposure and experience in direct tax and corporate litigation and started his independent practice in the year 2004. He has wide experience of different areas of direct taxation, including domestic taxation, transfer pricing, charitable trust taxation, international taxation. He has been active in the profession and contributing articles to various professional journals like the Chamber of Tax Consultants, All India Federation of Tax Practitioners. He has been delivering lectures at various professional forums such as Chamber of Tax Consultants, All India Federation of Tax Practitioners, Bombay Chartered Accountant Society, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. He has been on the Managing Council of the Chamber of Tax Consultants since 2000 and was elected as President for the year 2009-10. He has been the editor of journal published by the Chamber of Tax Consultants since July 2012. He had been on the Managing Council of the Western Zone of the All India Federation of Tax Practitioners. Presently, Honorary Secretary of the Managing Committee of the Income Tax Appellate Tribunal Bar Association Mumbai. Closely worked with various professional organizations to make representation before various statutory authorities for the better and judicial implementation of tax laws. Regularly appears before Supreme Court, High Court, ITAT and various income tax authorities. Appeared in many important matters before Supreme Court and High Courts, which may include matters challenging the constitutional validity of Voluntary Disclosure Scheme 1997, the order interfering with the independence of Income Tax Tribunal. He has got a very long list of important cases handled by him, and if I read all the cases, I think he will not get time to speak on the topic. So only 2 or 3 important cases I will just say. He has handled South Yara Holdings versus ITO, Vora Financial Services Limited versus ACIT, Zuari Foods and Farms Private Limited versus ACIT. So with this brief introduction, I request Sri MP Reddy ji to please present a memento.
Good morning, friends. And many are having a standing there. I think Vivad se Vishwas. So lot of enthusiasm is there. Now this is for an advocate. Vivad getting over is not a very good sign. But they say it will generate Vishwas. In a lighter note, the 75 to 80% of the Vivad is the hats off to the departmental officers. Many where there should not be any Vivad, they create a Vivad. And we were just grappling with this faceless assessments. Now they are saying that the first appellate authority will also be faceless. So in faceless assessments, we have seen the kind of assessment orders which have come. Now we'll have to face with. So before that they want to clear off all the earlier lot, where they were with personal interaction they have goofed up. Now without any human intervention, what will happen with the next lot? Anyway, with this I have circulated one bird's view, eye view about the scheme, where each and every section and I have tried to analyze, and then I am giving a PPT presentation which I will come to that in a while, because before that let's get acquainted with what are the provisions. Let us start with this. What was the reason to bring it? What is the purpose of this? In her long speech at para 126, she's the Honorable Finance Minister says that because around 483,000 direct tax cases are pending before various appellate forums, and estimated figure of the huge figure has been mentioned, which is locked up in the this litigation, and they are expecting at least 70 to 80% of that revenue to be recovered through this scheme. And again, while giving the objectives and reasons for bringing this bill, also they have again mentioned the same facts. They have given the same facts. Object is laudable, but question is how they are going to implement it. When the announcement came in the finance bill, in the finance minister's speech, by that time bill draft was not ready. That's the reason they have presented as a separate bill at 29 bill of 29 of 2020. Now after that, only one positive thing I see, we started making representations when saw that on the 5th of Feb it came. Immediately we started mentioning so many lacunas are there, so many places where it couldn't be improved. The CBDT has come up with some proposed amendments in which are insertions were to be made, and I have considered them and then prepared my analysis. So they are trying to fairly widen the scope of the scheme, and this scheme, how it proceeds, I will get into nitty-gritty. In a nutshell, what it looks like is, they want to say, suppose there is a 10 lakh is the disputed demand, out of which 6 lakhs is tax and 4 lakhs is interest. Then out of 6 lakhs tax, you will have to pay if you want to get into the scheme. Suppose a part of that you already paid, then the remaining part you have to pay. So though scheme doesn't say so, but that's what I presume, because in the one more proposed that CBDT, which is proposed a new amendment, where they have put a very specific explanation, where they are saying that any amount paid over and above this will be refunded to you without granting you any 244 capital A interest. Anyway, while analyzing in detail, we'll get into that aspect, but it seems that that's how they want to work it out. So whether such schemes were there earlier also. There was another scheme in 1998, Kar Vivad Samadhan scheme. In that, KVSS 1998 was also to wipe out the litigation or vexatious litigation which is SSC wants to avoid. Our department also. So what they came up. The scheme initially was with for the appeals filed by the SSC only. Then it was challenged by our tax professionals before Delhi High Court. Delhi High Court said that no, once you are bringing a scheme for bringing down the litigation, then why not include departmental appeals also? And that's how they read down the provisions, and departmental appeals are included. In this time, in a proactive manner, they have included upfront all the litigation which is pending. At the time when they gave the specified date, there were certain other suggestions were made. They have included that also. So on the initially my thing is yes, they say they are trying to make out a good case, good scheme out of the whatever want to do. But only my apprehension is the entire tax amount has to be paid. Then whether in this economic situation, even suppose SSC wants to, whether he will have the joint in the play in the joints to accommodate this. Let us now go. That is a decision, commercial decision, or a management's decision. We have nothing to do with that. As a professionals, we can tell what is preferable as legally, what they should do. Now coming to the provisions, section 1 gives the extent and the name. I will not waste my time. With respect to this section 2, which gives the definitions of various terms and phrases which are relevant for the scheme, they have defined that. In that, their first term is appellant. In the appellant, earlier decision which was initially there was quite restrictive. Now they have widened it. Here the interesting part is they have included not only those disputes where already appeal is pending. It will include even those orders also which were passed and on specified date, that is 31st January 2020, the time to file appeals has not elapsed. That is, not only they are talking about the assessment orders, they are talking about CAT appeals orders, ITAT orders, and High Court orders also, where time for filing SLP has not elapsed. So suppose 120 days have not elapsed after the ITAT's order, then they can very well on 31st January, suppose they have not filed any appeal before the High Court, even then they can go and take benefit of the scheme. It's a good, because you already lost and you are thinking that you may not. So what will happen is once you get into the scheme and file your declaration, then penalty and interest part you can safeguard yourself. That's a very good thing to happen, because suppose you already lost the matter and see what happens on facts you are lost before the tribunal, then you don't, then for them it's a lottery according to me, because otherwise a question of law getting admitted, but a matter comes up after 2 years, 3 years for admission, and for any reason it is admitted, not disposed of at the stage, then for next 20 years or 25 years you are hanging on. What will happen, nobody knows. I know many matters in which were admitted when I was with my senior Dr. Shivram in 2000, 2001, 2002, whatever appeals were admitted, even till today they have not come up for final hearing. So instead of that, now they will have an opportunity to settle it. So that is a very good provision which they are amendment, the insertion they are going to make, and they have included those when you talk about appellant. So naturally, where DRP is there, because DRP even assessment order is not passed. So that in the DRP, when draft order is ready and there are the directions given, then also that is covered, because clause 3 clause 3 and clause 4 include that. That is also according to me as a good amendment which will definitely will have an impact on litigation, and people will wherever given an opportunity, if it is in favor. So prima facie in the definition, what earlier our apprehension was very limited appellants will be, or SSC will be covered. So here, because of this more number of cases can be covered. Now in the clause B, they define appellate forums. Appellate forums include CAT appeals, ITAT, High Court and Supreme Court. DRP gets covered because of the definitions which they have given for the appellant. So that is the reason it is included. Otherwise here it is not a forum. But that will not make a difference, because here then appellant case they have included it. Only thing is settlement commission is not here. So matters pending before settlement commission can't be covered over here, and rightly so, because settlement commission is totally different kind of proceedings. That may not be an appeal proceedings, that is not a litigation also. It's a different kind of proceedings, so definitely they are not covered here. Now coming to disputed fee, I am not bothering you with disputed fee, interest. I will directly go to the what is more important is what is disputed tax. Now disputed tax, earlier they had a different equation initially what they suggested. In this amended thing, they have now they have made it much more simple. They have say whatever in the amount which is disputed, on that they will be computing the disputed tax after taking away the what has already been paid. In case where the suppose departmental appeals are there, then the tax on the whatever issue involved on that. And here they have included, by way of disputed tax, they have made a provision for the cases where losses are there, are issues of carry forward of credit under book profit, 115 JAA and JD also they have covered here. I will come little later where they have specifically made a provision how it should be treated. So even the loss is there, then also there is no tax dispute, disputed tax will be computed, though there is no tax area. Then also you can get into this, settle that by computing whatever the tax component on that, had that loss been the income, then you can compute the disputed tax and pay and settle that. That's a very good thing. And one more point which I will come little later, they have even providing the manner in which the subsequent year it is to be done. Not manner, I will tell you what exactly they want to do. Here earlier we had one more, because initially they were excluding wherever enhancement notices were issued in under section 251, they were not to be considered eligible for the taking benefit of the scheme. Now they have included those also. Even if there is an enhancement notice, then also you can go. But whatever amount is mentioned there will be included in the for computing the disputed tax. Similarly, there are while dealing with some issues, I will deal with those issues where tax has not been levied. Then what will happen to those cases? I will deal with them, because like writ petitions are filed at 263 is there. Now, in this case, in the proviso they have added, specifically I would like to draw your attention to first proviso where it deals with section 251 where enhancement notices are there, and second proviso which deals with 115 JA and 115D credit, and where depreciation is there. So they say that they have mentioned how it is to be computed. And now coming to the clause L, which gives the last date. Last date of the scheme has to be specified, to be notified. As on today, it has not been notified. Only in the finance minister's speech, she had said there are going to be differential rates. 31st March, anybody pays, there will be a particular rate, and somebody pays beyond 31st March, then they will have a differential rate till 30th June, she has mentioned. But as on date, as per the bill, says that last date has to be notified. So according to me, it has not yet been notified. So it is open to, I think, whether it is 30th June or they may extend it also, we don't know. But definitely, I think as just now we were mentioning, somebody raised an objection also, my good friend, Mr. Majithia. What happens is they will come up with the scheme and then they will start, framing the forms and then come up with the software. And in this, same kind of thing happens here also. They decided something to have a scheme, but they didn't have anything on their drawing board. They started having it subsequently, and now they are coming with, at least they are improvising it. I am very happy for that. Earlier they used to be very stubborn, and the earlier regimes I was seeing, whenever we used to make a representation, they hardly used to respond to that. Never used to bother. But at least that now they are, because all those points which were raised, because we had a interactive session in with the finance minister here in Mumbai, where chamber had made specific suggestions, and many of them we find them CBDT is considering them. I am very happy with that. At least somebody is responding to. And what I was mentioning now, the clause O, clause N gives the specified date, that is 31st January 2020, and then they defines a tax area. Clause O defines tax area. Tax area, I will not, everybody, we all know that suppose any 156 is issued with respect to your interest, penalty or tax, that will become your tax area with respect to that litigation. Suppose a penalty order is under challenge, so whatever is issued, 156 issued with respect to that will become your tax area. And section 3 quantifies what are the amounts which you will have to disputed tax you will have to pay, and the scheme. I have given that as an annexure because there is a chart. If you can go to page 10 of my writer, there I have given, there are, initially they had for only where disputed tax was with the interest chargeable, so that they had given the only tax amount has to be paid, and subsequently they included beyond 31st March then how much has to be paid there. Then they are including clause AA, that pertains to wherever section 132, 132A proceedings have taken place, because earlier they have excluded. Now they are including those with a qualification saying that any amount, suppose in the such case the income is less than 5 crores, so then you can very well take benefit of the scheme. If it is beyond that, they won't qualify for any benefit under the scheme. Here certain issues come up. 153A, 153C only they are talking about, or search cases will include those matters also where there is a reference, because in all these cases of bogus purchases or share premium, they say that somebody was searched. According to me, they are not covered. Scheme is very clear about that, ki only this is with respect to 153A and 153C, where directly there is a connection with the search. Not in those cases where which have been reopened on the basis of some third party search, will not be considered as a search matter. That's what is my idea, and that's how the plain reading of the statute, the bill gives. But we don't know the bureaucrats how they interpret it, but actually there is search means search in my case, or on the basis of search proceedings there is a 153C notice in my case. So those will be the cases where this will be. Section 4 gives the procedure for declaration under the scheme. As per section subsection 1, the designated authority will prescribe a form, and subsection 2 provides that on issuance of certificate on 5.1 the appeals before CIT, appeals and ITIT will stand withdrawn. Where the dispute is pending before High Court and Supreme Court, the same will have to be withdrawn with the leave of the court, because they are first, and then now subsequently now they propose to, without saying that leave of the court only after you get a certificate under subsection 1 of section 5. Now here one interesting thing what I was mentioning, their preparation is not there. They mention subsection 1 to section 5. You see in the statute you won't find any subsection 1, because 5A, 5B, 5C are the mentioned. I have not found 5.1. Where is 5.1? So according to me, I think they have missed out. They should have either numbered is 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, or they should now say that 5.1. I think it's a typo. So not a very big thing, but definitely it shows that it has been done in a hurried manner. Now this certificate which is to be issued has to be designated the moment you file your declaration. Within 15 days the designated authority has to issue the certificate. Now they are going to pass the bill on Monday. Presumably they will be able to do it tomorrow. For any reason, suppose house doesn't function, then it will get pushed in this week. If it happens, we don't know. So 15 days, suppose somebody files on 10th of March, by 25th of March he should get a certificate. Suppose for any reason, because 15 days he has to do it, so within 15 days they are dead, then within 15 days thereafter, because of subsequent sections they have to pay the amount. Now question will come, now whether that person suppose now pays beyond 31st March, because now he will have time now, because 15 days time is available to him, then he is not paying within 31st March. So while designated authority is going to determine two figures, saying that if you pay before 31st March you will pay this much, if you don't pay within 31st March, but that will not be, that is not fair, because statute itself provides 15 days time. Because no delay is not on our part, you are not able to bring it. So now that will be an issue. I see some Vivad over there. And definitely it's going to be there. And thereafter section in clause C of section 5, they have mentioned that the issues, suppose in any appeal you have got cascading effect on one issue, ATIB deduction is there. So it may not be only one issue, 1 year, ITIA 4 deduction is there, or any depreciation issue is there. It is going to have an impact on the other years also. Suppose in 1 year I have conceded my position under the scheme. So whether I have compromised with my right to challenge it, here they have mentioned in the act itself, no, that is only a settlement of the dispute. It will not impact the right to agitate in the subsequent years or anyway. So now for that matter, actually this clarification had to be brought out in KVSS by way of a circular. Here they have improved that, now they have made it a part of the legislature or statute itself. That's a good thing. Now section 6 gives the designated proceedings in respect of an offence. They give the wherever section 6 may not be, if any issue comes up I will discuss, otherwise I will try to go a little faster. Section 7 now gives that section 4 shall not be refundable. Now here they have mentioned, they have added an explanation over here, and when they have mentioned that, I will just read out the explanation, because section 7 says that no amount paid under section 4.1 under the scheme is refundable. but they give a by way of explanation. For removal of doubts, it is hereby clarified that where the declarant had before filing the declaration under subsection 1 or section 4 paid any amount under the Income Tax Act in respect of his tax arrears which exceeds the amount payable under section 3, he shall be entitled to a refund of such excess amount, but shall not be entitled to interest on such excess amount under section 244 capital A of the Income Tax Act. So what example I was giving, my total disputed demand was 10 lakhs, out of which 6 lakhs is the amount which is to be settled under the scheme. I have paid 7 lakhs. So then if I prefer, so those people who have already paid the taxes also can get into the scheme. If you read the explanation, earlier under KVSS that was not a position. You could have qualified to get into the scheme only if there were taxes, tax arrears were there. In the absence of tax arrears, there was no provision to avail the scheme. It seems that suppose even if you have paid the taxes, then the excess amount will be returned back. What does it mean? Means that suppose even the tax amount is already paid, then also I can prefer the scheme. I can get into the scheme. It is not necessary that I can prefer the scheme only if my taxes are in arrears. That's a fair thing to do, because earlier in KVSS 1998 this was a disadvantage. Unless and until there is a tax arrear, you would not have qualified for getting into the scheme. Here this enables you to get into the scheme even if the taxes are paid, and whatever amount other than the disputed tax, which is now section 3 will determine what is the amount payable. Anything excess you will get back also. It's a very interesting and very good provision which will expand the scope of the scheme. Now coming to section 9. Section 9 which specifies various disqualifications. In these cases people, these SSCs cannot get into the scheme. They have mentioned. Here they have brought that proposed amendment, and where they have included, they have said an assessment year in respect of which an assessment has been made under section 143, 144 or section 143A or section 153C of Income Tax Act on the basis of such initiated under section 132, 132A of the Income Tax Act, if the amount of disputed tax exceeds the 5 crores, then they are called disqualified. Wherever. Now here is the little catch. Wherever reopening has taken place because of the search in that, and there is a 143 order or 144 order, if it is less than 5 crores, I will qualify. If it is more than 5 crores, I won't qualify. So then I will be paying the additional amount, because the additional, in section 3 what they have created another where you have to pay an additional amount. Not only the amount of the tax in the case of the search, you will have to pay an additional amount that they have specified as in the case of amount disputed tax and 25% of the disputed tax. So wherever, so what you pay is tax plus 25% of the tax. So that will be the amount which you will pay in the case of the search cases. So all those matters, now I leave it to you all, just think about that, then we will come to PPT, you can give your answer. Wherever reopening has taken place and 143.3 order is there, or 144 order is there, and they want to get into that, they will fall in which slot. Now coming to the next, it is proposed to subclause 5 to clause A. In 9.2 we deleted which excluded those cases where enhancement what I have mentioned. Now they have been, now CBDT is empowered under section 10 to draft the rules and all. Section 11 empower the central government to pass such orders which are not consistent with the provisions of the scheme but are necessary to remove the difficulties in implementation of the scheme. This is usually in this kind of schemes are there, they give this power to the central government, which they have to delegated legislation, they have to take it back to the parliament. So no further any discussion on this. And as far as subsection 2 of section 12 is concerned, it includes the now proposed amendments include D, A and DB. DA, what it reads is determination of disputed tax. Now section 12 gives what all the designated authority has to do and what he has to include in the certificate which he is going to issue. They have specifically A, B, C, D they have given. On top of it, now they are saying that the determination of disputed tax, including the manner of set off in the respect of brought forward or carried forward tax credit under section 115 JA or section 115 JD of the Income Tax Act, or set off in respect of brought forward and carry forward of loss or allowance of depreciation. Now this is what is important. Suppose there is a dispute pending before appellate tribunal, that is with respect to my claim of my depreciation or a loss. I have suffered a loss, maybe for some reason that is there, they say it is a fictitious loss, so we will not allow you. So ITAT, even if it were decided, it could not have given any directions for the subsequent years. But when I settle under the scheme, what the designated authority can determine and say that whether I am eligible for set off and carry forward or not. So appellate authority, see 251, he had an enhancement for only that assessment year, CAT appeals. ITAT would have decided whatever is arising out of the CAT appeals order and the grounds of appeal before it. They could not have given a direction for an year which is not before them. But in this scheme, if you get into and you are having a settling, this is a double-edged sword. It can help also, it can harm also. Suppose there is a fictitious loss which you have subjected, you have carried forward and taken a set off in the subsequent years. Here designated authority says that he has settled it, but it is fictitious. I am saying that it is not to be settled. Rules have to come. Then we will be able to say something conclusively, as if nothing is there. But I have got my apprehension. They may say that no, it is not allowed. But suppose there is only a dispute with respect to, suppose put to use of an asset. Department says that you have put to use in the subsequent year. I am saying that no, it is in the earlier year I am made it. So in such cases they may say that no, he has conceded, so we will allow him to have a depreciation and carry forward and set off. So those cases they may agree, in some cases they may not, because here it specifically empowers the designated authority to give direction with respect to that. That's a good gesture, but I see that there can be a dispute also there, because many cases it may not happen so easily. Now with this, now I will come to my the PPT where I have tried to take out certain issues. While dealing with the issues, if anybody has got any query, can ask, or otherwise in the end I will take it up. First is, who is eligible to take the benefit. The scheme is meant as per the Finance Minister's speech and the statement of the objects. I have already mentioned this. All those matters which are going to be litigated will be covered by 31st January 2020, even if their appeals have not been filed, but time limit is still available. Second issue is, now what are the disqualifications, whether who are eligible to, in case of search and seizure where disputed tax exceeds 5 crores, not eligible. In case of prosecution proceedings are instituted on or before the date of filing of a declaration. Here we have to understand one point. They say in prosecution is launched for one assessment year. Suppose there are 5 assessment years. So question will come whether I can go in settle for the other 3-4 years or I am barred completely. According to me, that will be only with respect to certain other, cafe posa and all, where the proceedings are linked to cafe posa, then he will be disqualified. Otherwise, he will be barred qua the assessment year. For that assessment he may not be. For other assessment years, if he wants to settle, he can very well do it. And wherever the reopening is taking place because of DTAA 90 or Section 90A of the Income Tax Act, they will be excluded. And quantum of what is the amount payable? So tax amount will have to be paid. In case of search and seizure, there will be an additional amount. Now, if you pay beyond 31st March, they have given a differential rate. In the case of search and seizures, they say disputed tax plus 25%, and if you pay beyond 31st March, disputed tax plus 35%. Now, in case of interest penalty, if it is paid, then you pay, the scheme would be an additional liability of 5% beyond 30%, beyond 31st. Otherwise, you are paying only 25% of the interest. Before 31st March, any part of the interest or penalty, 25%. I remember in KVSS it was 50%. Now here, but it used to be, they gave a scheme, penalty it is there, so 50% of the penalty you will have to pay. Here it gets 25%, quite reasonable. In case of appeal is filed by the department, then in those cases where you have succeeded before CAT appeals and department is in appeal, then only 50% of the tax demand is to be paid. And suppose this benefit they have extended to even SSC's appeals also before ITAT. If suppose in the earlier years you have got an order of the tribunal in your favor, a high court, which has not been reversed by the higher court, then I have filed an appeal before ITAT. ITAT in earlier years has decided that issue in my favor, and High Court has not yet reversed that order. Then for the SSC's appeal also, I will pay 50% of the tax demand. That's a good gesture, because there was chances where I think that High Court may reverse my matter. So if I want to, because of the ITAT, for the subsequent years I want to settle it, so I can, in a row I can settle by paying certain amount. That's a good thing. They have not charging. Yes.
What if ITAT decides in my favor on Monday or Tuesday? If some cases are decided in my favor on Monday or Tuesday coming, what will be impact? I have to pay 50% or?
And in the, suppose your subsequent years are pending before CAT appeals. So then definitely, then this will come into get triggered, because specified date is with respect to qualification, not to determine this. So definitely you can make a claim. Suppose you get an order in between, so in subsequent years you want to settle, because you apprehend that in the High Court or something it may get reversed. So you will get the benefit of this. Yeah. Yes.
Suppose the order is in my favor, ITAT order is in my favor
before 31st of January. Okay, now department is filing appeal in High Court as on date. In that case, suppose can I offer this scheme or not?
That's why, suppose then when it operates both ways, when the order is passed and you apprehend, but suppose order is in your favor, now question will come whether department, those things also, can you go and settle it? Why anybody will settle it? But otherwise you are qualified. Na? They say that even though those were, because you will not file an appeal, only department may file an appeal. If you think that you can very well go, but only thing, how will you presume that? That's a little, No, that's correct, but it's a little, not a realistic thing, not a realistic way, anybody will do it. But otherwise, in this scheme, how they have defined it, that eligibility will be there. Eligibility will be there, because 31st March, on 31st January, the time has not yet over for filing the appeal, but filing the appeal for the department. And then why you can't go? You can very well go.
So where notice under section 148 is issued, and against that the assessment is completed. The given notice under section 148 is issued, against that the assessment is completed, and then the assessment was not in favor of the assessee and we filed appeal. So those cases will be covered because the 148 is issued on the basis of the information received from their the director of investigation. So those cases will be covered, sir?
See, that's what exactly I was trying to. According to me, they are covered under the scheme. Now, if they say this is a assessment which has taken place because of the search action, then you will file or you will fall within the now amended provision, where less than 5 crores only then you can go get into the scheme. Otherwise, you can't, and you will have to pay the additional amount, because where 100% of the tax and 25%. Let me come back to, because why it is definitely not a search in your case. But what happens is, while that explanation which I was reading, they say that where there is an assessment order which has taken place by way of search under section 143 or 144. Definitely they wanted to cover those matters which was prior to this block, 158 BC block also. Earlier to that, there used to be assessment order under 143.3 and 144. They wanted to cover those cases, so they have included it. Their intention is not to this 148.1 notices. But designated authority department is, how they want to do. They should not do it. So that is not a direct case of. So my view is this 153A, 153C. In such matters only this will apply. Otherwise, 148.1 is definitely eligible, and they have to pay regular only tax demand only, not the additional amount. But a dispute may arise. Vivad ka chance दिखता है. Yes, sir. Sorry. No, only tax amount has to be paid. See, that's the reason when they have brought this further explanation, they have clarified. Suppose your total tax area will include tax as well as interest, and suppose you have paid a certain part of the interest also, and you get into the scheme and say that this is taxes have already been paid. So then they say that whatever additional amount you have paid over and above the disputed tax under the scheme, that amount will be paid back to you, but you will not deserve any 244 capital A interest. So it looks very nice. Till now, the department has not given refunds on after once collected the money, unless and until you succeed in appellate proceedings. Here in this scheme, they are providing that. So that's if that happens, so many matters where for some reason they have paid the taxes. So in the KVSS scheme, that was the qualifying point. Unless and until there was a tax arrear, so you could not have qualified to get into the scheme. Suppose what is after the tax arrear is there, suppose you have got 10 lakhs and you have paid around 7 lakhs and the 3 lakhs only remaining with respect to your interest, then 50% you are supposed to pay up the interest also. So many people didn't opt for the scheme. Here they are saying the reverse. They are saying that suppose you want to, then you get into the scheme, then whatever you have paid, the part of the interest will pay it back to you. Anyway, that was already support under self-assessment or recovery when interest is paid. Interest is paid. Whether you are eligible for interest or not, that's a debatable issue. But now they are saying that the principal amount they are going to repay to you. Only certain issues will arise while computing these things. Is first how they are going to treat. What is be the priority of set off if you have paid the taxes? Suppose out of 10 lakhs, I have paid 3 lakhs. 144, you go by that, then first they have to set off this entire 3 lakhs towards the interest. Then I have to pay out of the 10 lakhs, 3 lakhs what I have paid goes against the interest. Then I have to pay 6 lakhs my tax. What benefit I have got? Only 1 lakhs waiver. So that is not clarified here. So that issue will come up. I think I made myself clear.
Yes.
Because section 144A, when you go by that, then whatever amounts are paid against the tax arrear, first it is to be adjusted against the interest. If you do that, then tax amount will always remain as it is. But designated authority will call for, say that you pay the entire tax amount. And then what is the waiver I am getting? I am getting only waiver of what? So out of 10 lakhs, that 6 lakhs I will pay, 3 lakhs already paid, 9 lakhs, so only 1 lakh waiver I have got. So then again, if that they start taking that view, then it will be scheme may not work. But
Complete failure.
then
Clause of interest adjusting first, which is the law. Then the assessee will not get any benefit of the tax.
exactly that they have to.
Fail in totality.
Then so when they have come up the scheme, when they have given such expanded the scope also, and they are in a mood to give this, then they should come up with a clarification saying that 144 capital A will not be operative for the purpose of computing the disputed tax. Whatever amounts have been paid first will be adjusted toward the principal amount of the tax, and then the waiver will be worked out. So then it will work, otherwise it won't work.
But in those cases, sir, where the proceedings have been also initiated,
Where?
along with the 143 order, we received the penalty notice also. Now we opt for the 143 for this scheme. In that case, whatever the penalty proceeding is initiated, so what will happen to that, sir?
No, that penalty proceeding you will get a waiver, no? Because once you get into the scheme and pay the disputed tax, then there will be waiver of interest as well as penalty. That immunity section says so. So there is no difficulty with respect to that. That's an advantage. That's an advantage. That's an advantage. Now, moving on to how is the disputed tax determined? Now, I will just, the scheme provides to make declaration with respect to a claim of loss by treating the loss as amount of disputed tax on which disputed tax is computed. However, several other questions arise out of this with respect to the impact of the losses in the subsequent years. Section 12(2)(da) provides that the order determining the disputed tax will also determine the manner of the set-off in respect of the brought forward and carry forward of tax credit under section 115 JAA and 115 JD, and also with respect to the unabsorbed depreciation. Now question comes, now imagine a position, there are 2 appeals are pending. For the first year in which I have incurred the loss or made the first claim of depreciation. Subsequent year again, because he has disallowed me the set-off, I have prepared an appeal for that year also. Now question comes whether I am supposed to file my declaration under this scheme for both the years or only for 1 year. Suppose if 1 year I am filing it, then other years I have no need to file it. Otherwise I will have to pay the taxes for both the years. But and then in the other year, how are you going to compute it? So, but I think by including this explanation, that designated authority will determine, I think that will to a great extent no need to be filed, because they have to file only for the year in the initially the depreciation or the loss was incurred. While issuing the designated or issuing certificate, he will say that what is the treatment to be given the subsequent year. So then I think if that is the intention which they have brought it and they are going to act upon that, then it's a very good thing. Then it solves the problem. Then they won't have any problem, as I mentioned, where fictitious is there. They may not say that any set-off can be granted in the subsequent year. But suppose there is a genuine loss for some reason, they are saying that, and that is covered by judicial proceedings. So I think they will allow it to happen. Let us see.
Sir, if in a case the scrutiny assessment is subject to rectification, say 50C where matter we have asked to refer to a DVO, and DVO's order is not yet come. He has passed the order saying that this is subject to rectification once DVO's order comes, and he has accepted the transaction value. So in that case, can we say this will be included in the scheme because DVO's order has not come and he has not passed the 154 till 31st Jan?
Tell me what direction, what he has mentioned, whether it is covered under section 155, any of those things. He can't give effect to that.
Yeah.
155, see 155 provides wherever such issues are there, they can be rectified subsequently. 50C is not, DBO's report is not covered over there. So he can't do that. He has to reopen it and then do it. So whether as on today if it is there, according to me, when there is no demand, how are you going to challenge it?
Yeah, that's what. So he is not computed actually.
He is not computed. And he has accepted your computation as of now.
Yeah.
So then there is no dispute. So according to me, there it will be difficult unless and until you say that he may do it. But how are you going to do that? I don't think so that that situation will be covered.
And sir, another thing, this computation they are saying for entering in the scheme, matter should be pending as on 31st January. Say I mean CIT appeal for 3 grounds. Matter is heard. On 1 ground I succeed. So will the income tax officer compute after giving me?
In my next slide I have covered these issues. I will come to that. See, now question comes whether in this qualification nowhere mentions what happens to 263. Whether 263 appeal is there. And 263 appeal before pending before IT80, can I get into the scheme? Suppose I have challenged 148(1) notice in the High Court and there is a ad interim relief given to me. My matter is pending. Can those cases be covered under the scheme? I have looked into the provisions and then how they have mentioned, according to me in 263 also, because what happens is the assessing the commissioner has to exercise his jurisdiction only if the order is erroneous and prejudicial to the interests of revenue. So definitely in the order he will be mentioning what is the prejudice caused. To that extent, if you are prepared to settle, I think 263 also you can do it. Now question comes, suppose I do it and subsequent after he has given an effect to that and for that also I have an appeal before CIT appeals. Then what will be the fate of that? If I have settled there, then what will be the fate of that? Am I supposed to refer? According to me, they should come up with some clarification if you do under 263 because same issue is there, so that will be covered there. Or otherwise what they can do is if such a situation is there, if you want to get into the scheme, qua the CIT appeals, whatever order giving effect to 263 is there, you settle it, then 263 will become infructuous. So that is a way of working out. I think practically that can be done. In only 263 that order has not been implemented. Then also according to me, you can get into that. As far as 148(1) is concerned, usually in the reasons recorded they are going to mention the income sought to be escaped assessment. If that is to be considered, that is covered under the scheme. If that is the way we look at those things. And now coming to what you were asking. Suppose there are 5 issues and all the 5 issues are remanded back to CIT appeals by the IT80. So then you can suppose out of 5 issues 2 are sent back to assessing officer and 2 to the CIT appeals or 3 to the CIT appeals. Then what is the suppose by the time 120 days have not elapsed for the IT80 order, then what can you do? Looking at that, according to me, whatever is pending before CIT appeals are whether set aside. If the set aside is there, you can challenge set aside also if directions are not. If you want to challenge the directions itself. So in that scenario also you can very well do it. But that is not the case. Then you can settle only the 3 issues which are sent back to CIT appeals, not the other 2 issues. Because other 2 issues will be before the assessing officer and they are not ready. Now 263 I have already covered. If any other questions are there, I will.
I have prepared an appeal for 3 or 4 points and left for 2 points are not covered for the appeal matter. Now can I add up those points now and go for this scheme? There are 4 points from the assessment order. Out of that 3 points
you are agitating only with respect to 2 points, other 2 points.
Now can I add up those, but because I'm mentioning on my appeal order, this memo, that I'll modify, alter the terms of the
applying pure arithmetics, it doesn't make a difference. See what happens, 2 matters you are already ready to pay the taxes. Under scheme, suppose all the 4 were there, then also you would have paid the taxes.
So
add up the 2 points for.
no. Question is ki for getting a immunity for penalty. That is the issue. Your issue.
No, I want to go for other 2 points also, which are not one for the appeal for the settlement. And can I go for that? Add up those 2 points and go for that?
No, that's what I'm saying. Mathematically, you see, it won't make a difference because all 4 issues are there. So out of 4 issues, you have agitated only 2 issues.
Yeah,
So under the scheme, you can now, as and you are eligible for paying taxes, the 100% taxes only 2 issues. Other 2 issues which are not before the commissioner, otherwise also you agreed to pay, na? Where you will not get any benefit of 234B or any interest waiver. So now you want to get into that. According to me, those issues are not there because may not be possible. Or revise your ground fast before they pass the file. Revise ground tomorrow itself.
No, we have already.
Then you get into that. Once you revise it, then it's good.
Once you revise the grounds.
Just one by yes.
Suppose CIT appeal is pending and notice is issued, and if the hearing takes place and before the order is passed, we can want to go in the appeal, can we go in the settlement scheme?
No, see, your question is by 31st.
Before CIT, 31st Jan was pending before CIT. Now order is he has fixed a hearing for the CIT appeal has fixed the hearing. Now before CIT appeal passes the order, can we go in the
First thing is very well you can go. He has fixed the hearing for that purpose only. You get into the scheme. All those matters, the notice is coming for that only. They are not hearing any matters.
Suppose I filed appeal very late, say maybe after 6 months, there was a say penny stock issue, and I have said in the assessment order, if no penalty is levied, I am voluntarily agreeing to the addition. Now they have started their penalty proceedings, so we have filed the appeal against the quantum addition also. But there is a delay in filing the appeal. Can we go in this scheme?
See, along with my note, what I have circulated, I have given one decision of the Bombay High Court, wherein the issue was the same, whether a belated appeal, time-barred appeal is an appeal or not. Under KVSS, Supreme Court has taken a view, relying on general law, there are certain decisions saying that even a belated appeal is also an appeal. So according to me, if that is to be followed, my view will be with that, yes, appeal is there, even if it is time barred, that you are eligible to do it, eligible to get it settled, because it is an appeal, because it is instituted, then it's an appeal. So you can very well get into the scheme.
Suppose
Just he is here. Now I will come back to you.
Suppose a search is conducted, amount is 100, and before after search.
After what is that amount?
Amount is say assessed by in search ₹100, and I was given an opportunity to file 6 years return, in which I have disclosed 80. Now that all returns have been filed before 31st January, 20 is the difference, but there is no order. So can I go under this scheme?
First thing is that when you talk about search and all, you talk about 100 crores, 200 crores. Don't talk 100 rupees because that won't make sense. Anyway, but if you only merely file returns and assessment orders are not passed, so you will not be eligible. There is no dispute as of now. You can go to settlement commission, search is there. The proceedings are still there, case is there. Yes. Nani, what is that?
It is filed after the due date of filing.
No, so see what they are proposing now, that covers the situation also. On the specified date, if the time to file appeal has not elapsed, then also you are covered, na?
Belated appeal has been filed.
Belated appeal. That is a difficult. Then you are not eligible because you are saying that time elapsed much prior to 31st Jan 2020. You have filed an appeal looking at the scheme. No. I think.
Actually, in one of the cases, the case is reopened under Section 148.
and there was a case of bogus fixed asset purchase invoices. So the company was loss-making company, so the tax is nil, and the department has levied a penalty under 274 months. In this case, can we opt for this scheme?
No.
Tax is nil, and department has levied a penalty for concealment.
Concealment. No, so there is a loss, na? There is a loss.
Right.
So that loss you want to get into, that's what it is covered. Na? They have given how to work out with the loss amount. They will work out the disputed tax. That amount you have to pay. That amount you have, then penalty there will be waiver. Penalty will.
But in this case, there is a law.
Saabko, I can't refuse you. Tell me. Nice to see you. How are you? Tell me.
Say, I filed an appeal against the EO's order. You have intended to pass some rectification. So, what amount I should take in disputed tax? Because I know rectification will be done.
You are settling the dispute, not the rectification.
No, I'm not. But the amount will be reduced, no, on appeal. Suppose 100 rupees is the amount disputed tax. You give me benefit of 50%. Then disputed tax will be.
According to me, designated authority will have that, because when he has while issuing certificate, he can very well consider and determine your tax amount. According to me,
But nothing in the scheme.
No, because designated authority will have that, while issuing. That is the reason discretion has been given to him. So how it is going to be determined? Suppose certain figure has been wrongly mentioned. Suppose the income. So because ultimately if rectification takes place, that issue will get out of the dispute you want to say.
Yes.
So that has not to be considered covered under 154. That's a discretion. According to me, looking at the scheme, it looks difficult. But suppose 154 is a designated authority, should consider that. Only it is covered under the apparent mistake. Now, thank you very much. Yes.
Application pending under section 260.
They covered it. Now, I will tell you one thing. See, if so much enthusiasm is there, looking at this, government should pass the bill tomorrow. But I am telling you, I have got my own, gut feeling is tomorrow Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, whether it functions is because it's a difficult, because of the Delhi, whatever is happening and all. So they may not be able to there, because ultimately they will be able to, because monetary bill is involved. So opposition will try to see to it that they are not able to pass it. At least first 1 or 2 days they will not allow them to do it. So then it will get passed only in the end of the week. There will lot of time will be lost in that, unless and until that. Otherwise, where are the rules? Then only they will get to draft the rules and bring it. So all these issues are there.
They can extend it.
Then they have to extend that lower rate of tax also for 1 month or 2 months. Friends, thank you very much. It was a fun to be interacting with you all, and I think JP Study Circle, every year once I come, this time I come twice. No, financial year. I knew that you were going to say that. Thank you very much, friend. Thank you very much. Yes, they are covered. But that's the reason they have mentioned disputed fee. The disputed fee is also covered, so 234E gets covered over there.
But then the appeal has to be made online.
No. When the order is passed?
So this is on traces, the CPC orders on traces.
Traces. Have you filed an appeal?
No.
So then how will you be eligible? How will you be eligible? You have to file an appeal. That should be pending on 31st. Suppose it is passed and time has not elapsed, then you will be eligible. Okay, thank you very much.